this event. This is our second one, right? We were here third event. So this is a great community.
Nice.
All right.
All right. You're good.
I'm good.
Take it away. You don't need that.
No, I don't. You gave me my own. All right. So this is kind of the 10-minute story on Kony. We could spend all day talking about Kony, but I will try and make it as quick as possible so we can get to the panel discussion. We do have a table out there, and we're happy to talk afterwards in a little more detail. So Kony's a 6-year-old company. We are headquartered in the tech capital of Florida, Orlando. We may be the largest software company in Orlando. I haven't quite made that claim yet, but I think it's probably true. And we have a big office here in San Mateo, and we are global. We have grown very rapidly. We have grown actually with the mobile industry. So we started in 2007. We have, as of literally today, 1,200 people on board. We are probably going to hire another 200 to 300, predominantly developers. We have about 550 developers, 400 service people, and then sales and marketing. And our revenues have really shot through the roof as well. We've grown, the first 2 years of the company, we just developed the platform I'm about to describe. We didn't have any customers. And then we started to talk to large business-to-consumer customers. And one of the first ones was in the travel industry. It was a large airline whose name I will not mention. It has yellow planes, though, and orange. And, but we can't use their name, so we won't. But they've been a great customer for us, and that led to other business-to-consumer customers in the travel industry and financial services and banking. And then the last 2 years, we've been doing a lot of B2E, large enterprise customers. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So as of April 1st, we have 238 large Tier 1 customers, and just to give you a sense of who they are, they kind of fall into these verticals. So everything around utilities, field service organizations. We've done apps for field service. We've done apps for tracking. And then the B2C, Delta Airlines, BlackBerry only. I need to tell you, we're moving to the other channels, but we started with BlackBerry. Marriott, which we'll talk about in a moment, is a great customer. They're the third, I believe, most active site on the Apple Store for booking revenue. When they put our system in their first mobile app, they were expecting to do about $150 million in the first year. They did $750 million in bookings with the app. We're in both the hotel side and in the transportation airline side. And so 5 of the 7 major carriers are running on Kony, and after the US Air American, we hope to get to 6 of the 7 major carriers. I guess that will be 5 of the 6 after they merge. So very, very interesting companies doing really, really innovative things with our technology. And we built this, I'm sure that there are many other frameworks and technologies out there. We really started the company going after the large, high-end transaction, very robust, great set of connectors in the back end to go either through web services or through proprietary links to get the data to bring it into the app. And we looked at it from a technology point of view, but also from a business point of view. So I do have these 2 examples. Marriott is an important one. Hyatt is the other one. The third major chain that we're not in yet, but we're talking to, is the Hilton Starwood chain. And then the airline industry has been very good for us. And I'm sure many of you are using our apps when you travel, and so that is gratifying. Our actually biggest deployment, though, that kind of talks to our size, is Citibank. So Citibank's, all of their apps, they're running in 38 countries, 18 different languages, multiple different devices, one code base. So the app is written once, and then it is parsed out to all those different channels. Some areas, for compliance reasons, may have more screens or less screens, or the data may appear differently, but the underlying technology is actually just a single app that we are supporting in the multiple channels that we support. And then one of the things we'll talk about on the panel that I'll just kind of prelude, there's a number of opportunities for developers and for organizations to build B2E apps. So if you think about an airport or an airline or a hotel, there's everything that we see as a consumer, but there's even a bigger opportunity behind the scenes to do maintenance, to make sure that services are being provided at appropriate levels. There's various levels of outsourcing that occur in the hospitality industry, and everyone carries a smartphone. And so you don't have to give your even minimum wage worker a device. They already have a device. You just want to put an app that is tied to whatever service that you're providing on that particular device. So if you have someone who's cleaning rooms and you want to send them to clean a different room because the guest is checking in or it's a VIP guest, you can text them that, or you can have a routing schedule for them to clean their rooms actually on the app. And so we'll talk a little bit about what some of the more innovative hotels are trying to do about the experience for guests, but it's something to think about. We're very fortunate. We just had, we published it at two of our one customer and one I can't name, but happens to be mentioned in this article, was written up as the top 10 for apps in the travel space. And so we are it's kind of the Kony inside. We're sitting behind this. This came out a couple of days ago, and we continue to see organizations get accolades for what they're able to do with our technology. So I'm going to give you the value prop in hopefully about 3 minutes. So our view is that in the next 3 years, especially with the stats we're seeing, the death of the laptop, in some ways the death of the desktop, we are seeing more and more people move to devices. And in 3 years, you really need to think about one app running absolutely everywhere. So whether you call it multi-channel or omni-channel, the concept of developing apps in a silo needs to disappear. And what organizations are doing is they've been dealing with technology, and you can see from my hair, I've actually learned how to program mainframe, I guess is how I started in this business. I finally threw out those punch cards a few years ago. But I've seen this actually happen in my lifetime, and the only difference about what I've seen and what we're about to see, it's going to accelerate much faster. And so you had a brick and mortar, you went into that store, stores got very clever, and they said, you know what, we'll have a call center as well, and now you have 2 channels. I can buy something on the phone, or I can go into the store. And they, if you remember back, they had a hard time. You could buy it on the phone, but you couldn't return it to the store, and vice versa. So just that little transaction was complicated for many people. And then, in about 1996, we had this thing called the web. Whether Al Gore really invented it or not, we can discuss a little later. But the fact is you now have 3 channels. And if you think about organizations, they would set up separate web teams, or they would take their call centers and have them build the web. And it was a disaster, really, until people started to figure out best practices. So you think of 1996 to today, we kind of know how to build a web presence. We can build e-commerce, we can merge these channels together, we can do it well. Well, now enter the last 5 years, really the introduction of the iPhone that kind of blew it away. And you have multiple devices now that have completely fractured this picture. It's not 3 channels, it is dozens and dozens of channels. You have multiple points of sales, multiple points of support, the cost to manage it gets very, very high, and the cost to scale is even higher. Because if you want to do an upgrade, or you want to fix a security patch, or you want to actually touch a piece of the software to make an improvement on the UI or on the back end, you have to do it multiple times. And so this is what organizations have done. They basically said, I'm going to start with the iPhone. It's the most popular, so we're going to build an iPhone. Or if you're in Asia, I'm going to build it on the BlackBerry. Or if I want to go after the Android, I'm going to build an Android. And before you know it, you have multiple development groups, multiple different organizations. They may or may not be talking to each other. You have feature disparity, you have version control problems, you have huge cost, and you have, most importantly, really dissatisfied customers. You have people who have one experience on their retail banking, a different experience when they call the call center, a third experience when on their Android device. They pull out their iPhone when they're sitting in front of the television watching the Masters, and they're going, how come this is different than the experience I just had? All right, so that is the problem that is out there that all of you who are developing apps will experience at some point if you haven't. I joke that our best customer is someone who's already developed their app, rolled it out, hit the wall on this, and then comes and talks to us about how I can solve this. And the way we solve this is pretty simple, but there's something else that's going on in the industry right now, and I'm sure there's a lot of web developers who are looking at mobile, is you have another major trend with HTML5 going on right now. So people are still thinking in silos. They're saying, my site's HTML4, I need to move to HTML5, and so I'm going to redesign my website. Now is a perfect opportunity to say, I'm going to design my app once, and I'm going to deploy it through all these different channels, including HTML5. And that is really a paradigm shift for many organizations that I talk to, that our management goes out and talks to. Mobility is different, multi-channel is different, and we're moving to a world where I think the reason there's probably close to 300 people here is because we all recognize there's a huge opportunity here. So here's what Kony does. We give you one platform It allows you to design the app. It's a JavaScript-based platform. You build the app, you pull up an emulator, you can design it for whatever your first app is going to be. You design it on iPhone 4, 5, 6. You can then pull up a build screen and say, I also want it for Android, or I want it for Windows 8. You can pull up emulators and make the native capabilities adjust to take advantage of the native capabilities, whether it's a hybrid app, a native app, or you wanted to deploy in HTML5, we do all three. You can then deploy that app and run it at scale to support the organizations I've already talked about. And then the final piece is we also have a complete management capability. So you can manage that app. You don't have to wipe away the entire device. We are also coming out with a device management capability. And the beauty of it is literally, once you have that new app out, we take care of managing all the different channels. So you have the same feature set, single code base, supporting multiple channels, and ultimately, we're saving our organizations either lots of money, or we're helping the companies that we work with make lots of money because they're building just beautiful, rich, really enticing apps. So I was only given 10 minutes, so this is the 10-minute version of the 45 version presentation. Let me stop. Hopefully we'll have a chance to answer questions later. We'd love to tell you about what Kony is doing and what we're doing in some of the industries. And I will turn it back over to Ryan. And thank you so much for being